The moment I opened my bedroom door, my blood turned cold. A woman was sitting quietly on the edge of my bed. For a second, I thought I was imagining things. The house was supposed to be empty. I lived alone in a small town outside Nashville, Tennessee. My heart slammed against my chest as I froze in the doorway, staring at the stranger who looked as shocked to see me as I was to see her. Then she slowly stood up, her hands trembling, tears filling her tired eyes, and before I could say a single word she whispered, "Please, can I stay for one night?" Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts around the world. My name is Matthew, and at 39 years old, I thought I had seen enough surprises in life to handle almost anything. I worked as a home inspector and spent most days driving across Tennessee evaluating houses. My life was simple, quiet, and predictable. That evening had started like any other. I had returned from a long day of work and noticed my back door slightly open. I remembered locking it that morning. At first, I assumed I had simply forgotten, but when I walked into my bedroom and found a stranger sitting there, every assumption disappeared. The woman looked exhausted. Her clothes were clean but wrinkled. Her blonde hair was messy, and dark circles surrounded her eyes. She looked less like a criminal and more like someone carrying the weight of the world. I should have called the police immediately. Instead, something stopped me. Maybe it was the fear in her face. Maybe it was because 5 years earlier, after my wife Rachel passed away from an illness, I had spent many nights feeling completely lost myself. The woman introduced herself as Hannah. Through trembling breaths, she explained that she had mistaken my house for another property nearby. She had once cleaned vacation rentals in the area and remembered an empty house on this street. She had been sleeping in her car for nearly a week after losing both her apartment and her job. I didn't know whether to believe her. Everything in me said to be careful, but another part of me noticed that she wasn't asking for money. She wasn't asking for food. She wasn't asking for anything except one safe night. I offered her dinner while I decided what to do. That simple meal changed everything. As we sat across from each other at my kitchen table, Hannah slowly shared pieces of her story. Her mother had passed away years earlier. Her father had struggled with addiction and disappeared from her life. She had spent years working 2 jobs to support herself. But when the company she worked for downsized, everything collapsed faster than she could recover. 1 missed rent payment became 2. 2 became an eviction notice. The eviction became a fucking car filled with everything she owned. Listening to her, I realized how quickly life can change. One unexpected event can push a person from stability into survival. That night, I made up the guest room and allowed her to stay. 1 night turned into 3. 3 days turned into a week. I helped her connect with local employment services. She spent hours filling out applications while I continued working during the day. Still, nothing came easily. Every rejection seemed to chip away at her confidence. I often found her sitting quietly on the back porch, staring into the distance. The sadness in her eyes reminded me of my own grief after losing Rachel. Yet, little by little, something began to change. Hannah started helping around the house. She organized the garage, repaired old furniture, and even planted flowers along the front walkway. For the first time in years, my house felt alive again. One afternoon, I returned home to find neighbors gathered outside. Hannah had organized a small community cleanup project after noticing several elderly residents struggling to maintain their yards. Watching her laugh with people she had only recently met, I realized she wasn't someone looking for handouts. She was someone desperately trying to rebuild her life. A month later, she received an offer from a local property management company. The day she got the call, she cried harder than I had ever seen. Not because the job paid well, because someone had finally given her a chance. Soon afterward, she found a small apartment nearby. The day she moved out felt strangely emotional. The guest room became empty again. The house became quiet again. But something important had changed inside both of us. Before leaving, Hannah handed me a small wooden plaque she had made herself in my garage workshop. The words carved into it were simple: "Kindness creates miracles that money never can." I hung it beside my front door. 2 years passed. Then, one spring morning, I received an invitation. Hannah had started a non-profit organization, helping families experiencing housing insecurity. Hundreds of people had already received temporary shelter, job placement assistance, and support through her program. At the grand opening ceremony, she stood before a crowd and shared her story. She never mentioned every detail, but she spoke about one stranger who chose compassion over fear. One person who opened a door instead of closing it. As I stood in the audience, tears filled my eyes. Because I realized something profound, I thought I had rescued Hannah. The truth was, she had rescued me too. After losing Rachel, I had slowly withdrawn from life. I had built walls around my heart so thick that nobody could reach me. Yet a frightened woman, asking for one night of shelter, had unknowingly helped me find purpose again. Before the story ends, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and tell us, have you ever received an unexpected act of kindness that changed your life forever? Years later, every time I passed that wooden plaque near my front door, I remember the evening that began with fear and uncertainty. A stranger appeared in my bedroom. A simple request changed 2 lives, and a single night became the beginning of a completely new future. If this story touched your heart, please support the channel by liking the video, sharing it with others, and subscribing for more inspiring stories. Sometimes the smallest act of compassion becomes the turning point in someone's life. And sometimes, when we open a door for another person, we discover that healing was waiting for us on the other side all along.